My health world, namaste, enlightenment.
So welcome, beautiful souls. I've got some amazing people here with me. We're joining the songlines together from Germany to Hawaii to Australia. I couldn't be more excited to have Camilla and Sascha back. Hello, beautiful souls.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having us back. Thank you for bringing us here together today and share what we experienced in the last days.
Yeah, we're going to have a riveting conversation about all the energies that have been circulating since the Grand Conjunction and the Solstice. And the incredible Keone Hanalei, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, but you are just one majestic, beautiful being, just shining your light for all the world. Honored to have you here, brother.
Mahalo, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be invited. Aloha.
Aloha. So we were just all saying before we press record, there's been some windstorms in all different areas where we're from. We know that Mother Earth has been cooking up a good brew for us since the solstice, the Grand Conjunction on the 21st of December. If you can attune yourself to these frequencies, and I know many of you listening and watching you know that something very powerful has erupted in the last few days. To me, it feels like Mother Earth's womb has activated. There's this deep sensuality to me of this feminine rising energy, almost like a heartbeat that has become purified again. I sense that there was a distortion with Mother Earth's heartbeat, and we've come back to the gugum, gugum, gugum. That pulsation out is just absolutely incredible. So for everyone, tune into your own heartbeat, tune into the pulses in your temples, tune into the pulses in your loins. It's all there, your wrists. You'll find these pulsations within yourself, and it has come back. It's not distorted any longer. That has been my experience. I've just been to Uluru, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later on, and what we experienced there with the activation of the magic box, which is something that the original people of Australia, many of them have been preparing for their whole lifetime, for this activation of the crystalline grid coming out from Uluru. So many people sent energy through the songlines, through the ley lines into Uluru, and it was potent. So Keone, what would you like to share with us all about what you experienced over the last few days?
Well, I really would love to continue the conversation on the activation of the elements, because on the day of the conjunction and the solstice, of course, our volcano erupted as well. And it's a very specific crater, Halimau, which is the home of Pele, the goddess Pele. So for many of us Hawaiians, we knew that it was an awakening, a feminine awakening. It was an announcement, a proclamation. So, when you're saying the resurrection of the feminine heart, the heartbeat, that really resonates. And we just had since then just really, really diverse weather incidents. Like I was sharing, we're having this really epic windstorm right now, and different islands have had incredible thunderstorms. So it's just whatever is happening energetically, it's being manifested into a third dimensional world, because the elements are now responding to that. And I always like to look at it this way, is that when the elements respond, then we have the evidence in an animate world that something is shifting, something is occurring. So all we need to do is really observe and see how our planet is responding to it.
Absolutely. It's palpable.
Yeah.
It is palpable. And it almost feels like, I often like to see, it's just a metaphor or maybe it's literal, but I often like to see that there's this triangle, and we've got the light workers at one point, the humans with the golden ticket at another point, and the cabal, the Illuminati at another point. And it just feels like the light workers have swooped in and they're picking up the humans. Of course, they're picking themselves up, but we're here on the planet right now to assist in that journey. And you can definitely see, as you've said, it coming into the third dimensional reality. There's supernatural experiences that many of us are undergoing, and it's difficult to use human language to describe what's happening, but we're going to do our best to describe that in today's podcast. But I just ask everyone to step into the mysticism within themselves, invite that mystical space in, invite the magic in, the imagination, magic-ination, step into it and, be carried by that beautiful mystery, that feminine, potent energy. So Sascha and Camilla, tell us what's been happening for you. Where were you exactly on the solstice? Were you still in Sweden or you were still in Sweden, right?
Yeah, we've still been in Sweden. We changed the place. We've been in a house for a while to finish the book, and then we went to another house, which was without internet connection and everything, so perfect to spend these days. And yeah, what we did, we had to, no, it wasn't really getting up early, but it was in the morning to connect to Uluru. And we did a 2-hour ceremony for us, and we went barefoot and put our feet in the cold ground as it was advised. And then we also, in the evening, we had this massive meditation that we joined, which was announced, this global meditation. And my personal experience was that it was kind of 2 separate events, but in the end, for me, it felt like the first one was the yin event, the female event, and the second one felt for me personally like the yang event. And with 2 very different energies and potencies, and in the end, they belong together. And that made my day of the 21st like a whole experience. So for me, the Uluru event felt really like connecting to Mother Nature. And in the second event, which was a little later in our time zone, it was much more going outward, also into the universe. And I felt that there are many beings that are contributing to this whole process now, that are not only bound to this Mother Earth plane. So that was my experience. It was pretty much a day of both poles.
Wow. I can connect to that. We being so close to Uluru, again, the mother energy, but also there's another rock formation near Uluru called Katajuda, or the Olgas, if for other people who may have heard that term. And Uluru is said to be the mother, and Katajuda is the, not necessarily the father, but the masculine energy. And we definitely saw Katajuda as light ships, a portal where the galactic energies can come through. So there definitely was the presence of interdimensional beings, which of course is ourselves, just in higher frequencies. And so I can definitely relate to what you're saying. Keone, I'd love to come back to you to see if you've been having some of those experiences as well. I know that you download lots of powerful things, so I'll come back to you soon. So Camilla, what about you, my love?
Yes, I relate also to it with Sascha. So our kind of morning ceremony, we were for 2 hours sitting outside. We made a little fire as well. And for me, I somehow from this day onwards, I feel much more centered. And for me, it was a little bit of a stress test afterwards, going back to my family with my father and sisters and all the kids. And usually Christmas is pretty, I don't know, I'm a lot in my outside world and I have to respond to them, and I felt a different energy this time. It was just not just me being somehow more centered and more I don't know, connected, but also I felt the same energy from my sisters and also the kids. So it, I can't really put it into words, but there was a different feeling this time. So that's what I observed over the last days, and what I'm curious on how this going to continue, this feeling, and especially because like in my family, I'm more the one into spirituality, and like my family, there's like no meditation. They're just in a different life reality. So that's why I also couldn't talk with them about it. So I could just kind of observe and feel how are they responding to me, how they maybe changed. And definitely I felt that there is some sort of maybe shift, and curious how this is going to continue in the next days, weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess we'll see it play out. For me, I sense it, a huge momentous occasion has just been observed. For those who are attuned to energy, we felt it very strongly. For others, they felt it as well. And you're right, it will be interesting to see how this plays out. It may be a slow process. The original people, the elders tell us from Australia, tell us that we are now either on the high road or the low road. The bifurcation of timelines has taken place. So for those on the high road, life will get easier. We're in a phase of very rapid manifestation. So cognition, thought, manifest. Cognition, thought, manifest. It's happening much, much quicker. The rapid fire energy is there. For those on the low road, it's said, this is just me passing through the wisdom from the elders, they say people have about 3 or 4 years to make their choice as to whether they'll stay on the low road or they'll switch to the high road. So the screws are literally going to get tightened for people on the low road, and it may create then an activation for them to take that high road, because we all know in our lives when the suffering is so intense, that's when the wisdom drops in. So it's a perfect experience. It's perfect geometry in the way it's playing out here in the third dimensional reality. And of course, no one's a victim in it. You know, everyone is attracting exactly what they need to propel themselves into that higher road. It was said to me by one of the beautiful aunties at Uluru that within the 26,640-year galactic cycle that we're currently in, we've come halfway. We've come round the darkness, and that we're moving now into the white light. So, you know, we can see that as the monadic energy of mother, father, God, goddess, you know, the yin yang symbol. So we're moving now into that golden age. But for me, we're only at the tip of it. So we're going to see a lot of drama play out for people, but I'm just the perennial witness, you know, witnessing and sending love and cleaning up my own act and doing my own inner work as we need to do. Kiani, would you like to speak to that from your tradition, from the Hawaiian tradition, and also from your personal knowing of what's just occurred?
Thank you. Yeah, and you know, everything that you're sharing about your culture, it really does align to the Hawaiian culture. You know, we have something called hanana, and hanana means the event. And it's predicted that we are now in hanana, the event. And what occurred on the 21st is just one fabric, one thread of this event. And it's us now maturing into another va, or va means epic, a new epic. Now, and what's resonating with what you're saying, Carrie Ann, is that as we go into this new epic, everything must change. And if I have attachments to identities, if I have attachments to ideas, I'm likely going to reject the shift. So when you're saying that some are taking the low road, it's because this shift and the heightened oscillation of hanana, it's just not going to be compatible for people, and they will require trauma. Trauma in order to catapult them into, as you say, the higher road. So my kupuna, my elders, they would always say, boy, you have two options. You can go by way of trauma, or you can go by way of grace. No matter what you choose, no matter whomever, we're all going to arrive at the same place. But she would say, boy, trauma is just going to be a lot more destructive, not just for you, but for your community. So perhaps you choose grace. Perhaps grace is more responsible.
Oh, I love that word, grace. In fact, it was told to me this year that I had to change my name because my name is Carrie, but I had to change it to Carried by Grace. So you know, a new template came in for me, and so I feel that. That's absolutely wow. So Camilla, let's go back. What are your insights for, and I say this with total reverence, and I'm just saying it to use human language, but what's happening for the humans, even though we're human as well, but what's happening for those that may be on the low road and perhaps haven't awoken as yet, even though that's also, as I always say, it's a perfect place to be. What do you see happening there in Germany or around Europe? Do you feel there's been a significant shift, or is it, are we still going to, are we waiting for something momentous to happen?
Thank you for this question. It's a difficult one.
It's a big one.
Answer, because it's I mean, we kind of looking out, you know, what's happening in the world, connecting with you, and I have a wish for what's happening also with the people here in Germany, but I feel as well that there is still a lot of drama and distraction and happening. So just kind of starting off with the vaccines that are kind of supposed to roll in from today, I think, in Germany. For me at the moment, it's right now actually as well a really personal conflict that I'm in, because I definitely don't feel like taking this vaccine. And I have a different view on also how health is staying in me and coming to me, but my close family has a different view on it. So right now I'm in very much a conflict on going my way and having this love and understanding for the people around me who might choose a different way, and the drama and distraction that might come to their life this year. So I see we're going this year again through a lot of bumps, ups and downs here as well in Germany and Europe, and I hope that I can support right now my family around me, and that I can share something with them that I see and feel, and that it has an effect on them. But I think what I feel is a lot of people here who are awakening, that it's also for them going to be a test on staying within you and being balanced, while maybe really loved ones around you might choose a different way and might experience something that also where I feel sorry then for, and going into feel some sadness on how I'm going to deal with that. So that's what I see coming for a lot of people here or around the world, and that we have to stay strong within ourselves to to keep the spirit high for all the others as
Absolutely.
well who might experience more trauma.
Yeah, I see so many people perfectly placed in different portals around the earth, and you know, the theme of what you do in the book that you've written, which I know Keone is a part of, the hero's journey. So it's maintaining that quality of being the hero amongst people who see differently, perceive differently, and witnessing without judgment. And it's a real art form to do that, and never forcing your will on someone else. Understanding they're at the precise point on the continuum of consciousness that they need to be. So trying to hustle them forward when they're not ready is impinging on someone's free will.
In this classical hero's journey concept, there is always these three major points of challenge. The first one is entering or calling or answering to the call to adventure, the very first step, which is always difficult for us humans because we want to stay in our comfort zone. And then the second biggest challenge point is where we face the adversary, the demon inside of us. And the third one is mostly overlooked, which is returning to the ordinary world. And I think that's where many of the light workers, many of the people who are already did some work there at this point now, returning to the ordinary world and integrating. And I think that's a very overlooked point, and it can be so difficult. Sometimes we're just thrown back into drama right away when we try to enter back into the ordinary.
I don't want to go back to the ordinary.
No. It's always an upgraded version of the ordinary. When you went through the circle, the next turn is better.
Yeah.
When you manage to integrate.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's a really important point. You know, it's the classical Zen saying before enlightenment, you know, carting water and chopping wood. After enlightenment, carting water and chopping wood. You know, it's we can be so different internally, and yet this world out here, or this earth out here, is somewhat the same. However, as we've already spoken about today, there definitely are some shifts that we're seeing, you know, also in the third dimensional template. So it's exciting. There's been so many supernatural photographs. I don't know whether you've seen some of them, Sascha and Camilla, that I put up, but I'll share some more as well. Yeah, from people at Uluru. Yeah, things that you can't explain that were occurring in the sky. And again, that's why I invite people into that mystical space, and not to look for logical ways to explain some of these interesting light formations that we saw in the sky. But yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because for me, the last few days, I have really just been in a trance state. I had Christmas Day with family, but they all know who I am, and you know, let me just observe the matrix, you know. But other than that, I've just been deep in meditation and experiencing that pulsation just running through me. Not sure what to do with it, not sure how to integrate it other than just be with it and welcome it in and observe it. So it'll be interesting. I'm glad that we're doing this podcast, actually, because it gave me a focus. Otherwise, who knows what might have happened to me. There she lay. They found me days later. Oh, what happened to Carrie? No. So, Keone, can you speak a little bit, because I'm fascinated, a little bit more about Pele and just, you know, just the mysticism around that, just the fantasy around that, but also how that impacts us here in our daily lives, how it's actually real as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So I do want to share that we have a word. It's a noun for a mystic. Here in Hawaii, we call mystics maka'ula. Now, the function of a mystic is one who can penetrate dimensions, okay, but who is grounded, because the responsibility of a mystic is to penetrate dimensions to that which is otherwise unrelatable, okay, and then bring it back to earth and make it relatable, make it practical, make it functional. That's the responsibility of a mystic. So, and I always share it like this, okay? Because I have talks with many people who talk about mystics. And I say, here's the thing about a mystic. A mystic pays the bills. A mystic shows up on time. A mystic is practical and relatable, because if I want to be influential, I'm gonna have to be relatable. And it's a lot like what brother was saying about, if I want to make impacts here in a third dimensional realm with my brothers and my sisters who need inspiration and help, I'm gonna have to be relatable. That's the only way I can be inspirational. Now, so we have this task and this function and this skill to penetrate dimensions, right? And to come back, because we're not attached to wherever we journey. All right, we know that we have kuleana, responsibility, to bring it back here and to share. And share. Make our activation. And then once that's accomplished, then in the language, we say hala, which is ascend. Once we make our activation, once we fulfill our agreement of why I'm here in a phenomenal animate world, this is a world without error. It's very purposeful while we're here. So we must remember why we're here, offer our activation, share our activation with our community, with our people, with our consciousness, and then the skill to let go, to hala. So for a mystic, it's a cycle of consistent travel, let go, travel, let go, travel, let go. There's a fern, I work with fern medicine, and there's a fern that represents magic, and it's the fern La'akia Lama. And it says, I have shifted into so many things, I carry no resemblance. The concept of attachment is profane.
Oh, we'll just let you talk. I tell you, you feel that. And Keone, I have to tell you, when you speak those Hawaiian words, there's something in me that remembers. It's some ancient language in me, and I knew speaking to you today, I had that whole sense of Lemuria and connection and codes that would come through from you. So yes, thank you so much. Let's chat about the good old Illuminati and what's happening, because I know that's probably the main question that we get asked from people who've been following our podcast, because we only started the podcast this year to talk about the events of 2020 and how we could harness this powerful year to rise in consciousness. And of course, we have to speak to that force that we're all a part of, that we've all commissioned as a collective. And we may call that Illuminati, Cabal, Dark Controllers. Doesn't really matter what we call it. What is going on at the moment in terms of, we're seeing more lockdowns? Camilla, you spoke about the vaccination programs coming in. What is going on? How do we reclaim our sovereignty? How do we stand in a vibrational space where that cannot impact us? So Sascha, I'll hand it over to you. I want to hear that hero's wisdom coming out of you, because I know you're slaying demons. So
yes, in my dreams.
Yeah.
Oh well, I think actually we always had it, this sovereignty. That's the funny thing about it. And what just comes about is that we realize it, and that both poles become stronger and stronger up to a point where it's almost like a travesty. It's almost like a joke, especially this timeline that is running out is getting stronger and stronger, and they get more ridiculous and more ridiculous in their claims and whatever. But I feel, especially from the 21st on, that it is just an illusion. They cannot do anything to us. They cannot do anything to our core. It's but I was deep within it. Let's say 10 years, 20 years back. I thought they had all the control over me. I always wanted to escape it, I was never in the mindset of obeying. That's just not my personality, but I was deep within it. And now I think that's not my timeline anymore, kind of. I know that many people are in it, and there are might be some 3D restrictions still, but I think this ramping up of the drama is really just an illusion. One little example for it is we, in the midst of this second lockdown craziness in Europe, we decided we're not going to stay at home. We drive around with our car. We go to Sweden and Denmark and Poland and whatever kind of countries we've been to. And all these restrictions at the borders they were talking about, there was nothing. We were just driving through. Absolutely nothing. It's all just an illusion. I mean, of course, there are some restrictions and dangerous things out there, but most of it is blown up. And I think, we're referring to the invisible enemy, like I call it. Of course, they were there and they are still there, but they losing their grip. Absolutely. And the only thing that holds them in place is still the obedience of humans and of consciousness, and that is fading out. And at one point, it will be just something that we can't even touch anymore.
That's it. They need our consent. So, in a way, we've created this cabal construct. We've fed our life force into this cabal construct, and now we're realizing, and hopefully those who can absorb what I'm about to say and feel what I'm about to say, if we don't acquiesce, if we just simply choose not to, in a second, in a heartbeat, we've eradicated that program. And it can be that easy. But yeah, it's fascinating. I wonder if you're glitching the matrix, Sascha and Camilla, because other people are encountering major turmoil and drama, whereas you've just sailed through. So, and I want to talk about magic, because magic is absolutely real. Everyone has the ability to glitch the matrix, to not be a part of the matrix. And it's just simply a choice. As some people might, feel that I'm airy fairy, but I've seen it happen myself. I've seen plenty of people do it, just not consent. And therefore they rearrange the atoms somehow within the 3D that you're not going to encounter any kind of resistance. I spoke to a lady at Uluru who'd been in the middle of Melbourne or in Victoria, that's the state in Australia where we've had the most diabolical situation with lockdowns, mandatory masks, really horrendous arrests, people getting bashed by the police, by goons in costumes. But this lady and her husband continued to go outside without a mask, saw police, were right there in front of police, but her vibration was so high that the police did not see her. They just did not see her or her husband. And so we need to speak to these kind of things, because when your vibration, when your frequency is that high, those of a lower frequency simply walk past you. They cannot perceive you. They cannot see you. So everyone must claim that power within themselves and know that, as you said, if we don't consent, then those darker forces cease to exist. And we're at that pivotal point now. We've come through into the Age of Aquarius, where we're choosing a different timeline, or many are choosing a different timeline, but it's available at a rate that it's never been available before. So it's personal power. It's that choice. It's that non-consent. So Keone, I know you know magic. Can you add to that? What's your?
We all know that.
I love what you Camilla and Sascha experience, like just in that field of confidence, right? And in your own belief, and being able to not encounter any disruptions. And that's truly what magic is. Magic is alchemy. It's alchemy. It's the alchemy of energy. And when I experienced something really similar, wearing face masks are very, very implemented here, and not just by authorities, but socially. In the United States, you are shamed if you do not wear a mask, and even sometimes violence inflicted on you. And I went into one of the large department stores here on Maui, and I forgot a mask. I just forgot to put one on. I went through the store, I did my shopping, maybe there for 30 minutes. I even went to the checkout. The clerk assisted me, and I went out, and then I realized, I'm like, oh, I didn't have a mask, and no one said anything. And I wondered this to myself, Keoni, if you purposely went in there and said, I'm not wearing a mask, would you have had the confidence that you had without knowing at all, and you just sailed through? No one said anything, not even the clerk helping me. So it has a lot to do with that alchemy and the confidence we have with that alchemy. Am I relying on others to confirm and validate the energy to which I'm working with? Or am I the alchemist? Am I the alchemist based upon my core beliefs, constructing and thus influencing the exterior conditions? Now the exterior conditions are no longer influencing me. I'm influencing the exterior conditions. And I feel like that's what you both experience going through. I mean, all these 4 countries, I believe you listed, Poland, Denmark, Sweden, Germany, and not experiencing any resistance. So it's as if you had influenced the exterior conditions. And that's the power of human radiance. Radiance can only work by alchemy. The alchemy of the human spirit, working with the materials of a phenomenal animate world. That's magic.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as well that it's really for everyone who is out there and thinks like, but how am I going to, do that? Like it's kind of magic. I think it really starts in the sentences, in our belief sentences that we have. And I can just recommend everyone to get off any newspaper, any regional broadcast, because there are so many belief sentences that we get into our minds over and over again, and that's what we are radiating out there as well. So we for already years, not just this year, but already before, we stopped watching TV and having just not looking at any newspapers, because we want to see the reality that we are actually experiencing, and not getting the reality of other people telling us what we are supposed to experience outside. And that's what I also see in family and friends, that they are really looking into newspaper, and then they go outside and that's what they're experiencing. So I think really saying like, okay, no one will see me, then no one will see me if I really put into this belief sentence into my structure. So
and like Keoni's account, especially if you don't know if you can switch off that rational part, which is, can they really see me, or can't they see me? If you just do it, then it's just happening.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah. Like if you're looking for trouble, you are getting trouble. Like I think there are also a lot of people out there who is like, no, I'm going to show now everyone that I have my sovereignty, and I'm not wearing the mask. But that's what they're radiating out. And in a way, they're also radiating out that I want to be talked to and want to be confronted with my decision. So you have the choice to choose. I'm just not wearing it, and I'm not going to be seen, and I'm within myself, and I'm just spreading out love and happiness, and that's what you are also receiving back. And even if you're confronted, it probably will be in a way that is in a peaceful way, and not in a conflict way.
Yeah, that's a really important distinction to make. I love that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of there's a lot of research going into self-defense, and from my martial arts background, I was also always interested in the real application, not only the traditional forms. How is it applicable in real life? And I always had many other masters in different areas. They were really good. But they were also always getting in trouble outside in the real world. And there are actually some studies of the police and whatever. And it doesn't have to do with the skill level. It just has to do with the radiance. And some people, even if on the surface level they want to be this Zen like martial arts master who's not getting into trouble, but deep in their core there's this friction with the world and all the other guys there standing at the corner of the street, and they always get into fights. And it's just an affirmation for this point. And I always try to. I'm not really this frictionless guy, and I have no problem with other males. But I can also have the certain level of confidence, which doesn't let me appear like a victim. So I could always slip through every situation and never got into a really fight situation. The only one time or two times that happened, there were this typical thug situation on the street where three guys came and just asked me, hey, what's up? And will you give me your wallet or whatever? And in that moment, I remember I just said, no. And I just kept walking, and they were so confused. They were not following me. They were like, okay. And that the whole situation just evaporated.
That's another beautiful example.
Of course, afterwards, my heart was pumping. But in that moment, I just thought, no. And I just went.
And this is what sovereignty is. It's within your own energy field. It's saying, I'm in charge. I'm in charge of this orbit and this vessel. I'm in charge, and you cannot penetrate unless I give you consent. So yeah, beautifully described from both of you. And this is the new way. We are sovereign beings, as you said before, Sascha. We've always been sovereign. We just had a little bit of spiritual amnesia and forgot who we are. So, yes, that's right. I'd like to speak about the sacred masculine. A couple of the brothers that were with me at Uluru both had an experience whilst we were doing ceremony for the magic box activation, as they call it there at Uluru, this activation of the crystalline grid. It's both physical and metaphorical, this activation, but they both had an experience that they could share later with each other and with me, that they were asked to throw their physical heart into Uluru, that they had to give up the toxic masculine energy, and they literally had to reach into their chest and pull their heart out and be willing to die for that feminine energy to rise. And they both had, one had convulsions, physical convulsions. He was laying back on the earth for quite some time, and I opened my eyes and I saw him, and I was in my own process weeping and having a lot of mystical experiences, but I sort of was drawn over to him to do some Reiki over him, not realizing that was sort of restarting his heart. I had no idea until we confirmed it all later. And then the other brother that I was with, he pretty much stopped breathing and wasn't sure where he'd get a new breath from. And then they related this experience later, and they were both willing. It all happened obviously within meditation, but they were both willing to give their hearts. They were both willing to sacrifice themselves for the rise of the divine energy. So again, I'm speaking to mystical experiences, and but for many listening to this, and for many who are at Uluru with us, and for the millions of people who were on the earth like you guys were, in the cold, in the middle of the night with your feet on the earth, thank you so much, sending that vibration through. We all know that something powerful happened. And I just want to pay reverence to to the warriors, to the men who did that, who gave up their heart for Mother Earth, for the rising of the divine feminine, because without that happening, and however that happened, whatever experience people had in their own inward and private sanctuary, I just personally want to say thank you, because it's beyond words how powerful that is. Keone, have you experienced something like that yourself, you know, being a very powerful sacred masculine, a powerful warrior? Can you speak a little bit more to what's happening, that exchange between the sacred masculine and the divine feminine, and what's happening at the moment?
Wow. Carrie Ann, that is so aligned to our culture, what you're experiencing about offering the heart, because we have a saying for men, where it's kane, okay, kane. Women, it's vahine. And let me just clarify, I'm a gendered male, but I'm 100% masculine and I'm 100% feminine, okay? Yeah. I always say my superpower is my androgyny.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the space of the kane, that's the heart. And we have a saying, the mantra of the brother is pa vale pu'uvai, and it means open your heart wider. This is the great lesson of the men. We must learn how to open our heart wider. The greatest distortion of the masculine is insecurity. It is insecurity which has led us to war. War. Anyone who participates in war, it's because you're insecure. Let's be clear. Now, the feminine, her mantra is ua malu, and it means I am safe. The feminine affirms safety. She's the foundation to which the masculine can construct and manifest. He needs to feel safe. He needs to remember to ask for help. And as we go into this feminine shift, this is going to be one of the greatest skills that the masculine is going to remember, and that is to ask the ladies for help, knowing that the ladies hold the codes to safety. The brother understands security. He's very good at security. He's a protector. He's a hero. But he doesn't understand safety, because what's the other word for safety? Faith. If I have faith, I'm safe. The feminine must teach us faith once again. So thank goodness we're going into a feminine shift right now, so that we can affirm our foundation of safety and faith, so that the hero can rise up and manifest safety, faith. What does faith look like, sound like, taste like? It's time for us to be the engineers that we are and show up for duty.
High five. Wow. And thank you for qualifying about the feminine, masculine within us all. Thank you. So needed to be said. Yeah, that's powerful. Wow. Camilla and Sascha.
I don't know how it's for you guys, but especially like in the last weeks already, but especially coming forward from the 21st, in my personal struggle between male and female side, I realized that there is something bringing me to let go of more of my egoic plans. This rational part of me that is always making plans and wanting to create big things, and I think I'm at this point where I have to dial that back a little and bring it more into balance with the female part. That's just my observation in the last days.
Beautiful. Yeah. And Camilla, so many people reached out to me from the previous interview that we did when you spoke so vulnerably at the end of that interview. And I know I sprung a question. I sprung that question on you, you know, and I was just channeling what was coming through. But I knew when you spoke from the heart, so many women would just connect to you, and I've had so many private messages, and men also saying thank you to you, speaking about your own vulnerability and about how what you were attracting was only a measure of how much, or a reflection of how much you were loving yourself. It was just so beautiful. So I want to thank you for that. I'm loving this. This time where the divine feminine and the sacred masculine are, are merging and becoming one. And Keone, speaking about war, and we've been engaged in battle for eons of time. I'm personally so soul weary. Part of me is so soul weary of all the brutality and the torture and the rape and the abuse, and that whole cycle that we chose as a collective to have this galactic experience, for want of a better word. So there's a part of me that's so tired, and I guess that's the inner male in me. And then there's a part of me that's so refreshed and so reborn and so new. And it's interesting. And I guess that's the feminine energy, because she's fine. As I said right at the beginning of our chat, I am experiencing that pulsation. It's not distorted anymore. So I'm really trying to balance out, sit in that space of those two merging and coming together. And yeah, it's a very beautiful, beautiful time. And, I feel so blessed to be on the earth at this time, having this human experience, and supporting myself through this journey, and, supporting others that, want to listen as well as they support me. So as we're coming towards the end of our beautiful chat, I know I'm going to watch this back and receive so many codes from this. So Keone, what would you like to share with us as we close up this chat today?
Mahalo. First, I want to say thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be in the company of you three. I'm just honored to be invited to have this discussion with you, and just feeling so nourished and supported by you three. So I want to say mahalo. I want to also share that the shift that we're all experiencing, no one is immune. It's inevitable. And just remember what my elders would say. It's just a matter of us choosing either trauma or grace. What are we going to choose? Remember, if we choose trauma because there's resistance, it's unfamiliar, therefore it's uncomfortable. I'd rather be in harm, because at least harm is predictable. Okay, but that's going to cause a lot of destruction, not just for myself, but for my community. So perhaps I'll choose grace. I will learn how to let go of the identities and allow myself to simply be held and carried into the inevitable with all of us. There's this film, there's a Disney film called Lilo and Stitch, and it's based in Hawaii, okay? And many of you may be familiar with the word ohana. Ohana, okay, literally means family, okay, family. And in this film, it says ohana means no one gets left behind. So let's think of one another as well. As we're in this fork, am I going to choose trauma, or I'm going to choose grace? Trauma may be very destructive, not just for myself, but for my community. Perhaps I'll choose grace. Let's just let go. The shift is inevitable. No one's immune. This is a law of nature. We cannot rewrite nature. It's not possible. And like Sascha was saying, these are the last desperate attempts. No matter what is being applied right now, it cannot change the law of nature. So why not all of us just let go?
Deep breaths. That's all I can do. I think we all as a collective just sigh. Keone, this beam of light literally just came down upon you as you were talking.
Yeah.
Can't make this up. Darling, can you just speak, before I pass it over to Camilla and Sascha, can you just speak a little bit more for those who maybe not vibrating where you're vibrating? Why would we continue to choose trauma? Why? And you said it's familiar. So what is that about? Why do we default, back to something that we know is not great for us?
Well, it's because many of us are more addicted to harm than we are to nourishment. And I always share, there's something fundamental that every individual sovereign person must come to terms with. Two things. One is, what truly nourishes me? What is that? And then let me be clear about what puts me in deprivation. The only reason why I'm being clear about deprivation is because that's how I understand my boundaries. That's my boundaries. That's when I know I'm about to be violated or I'm about to violate someone else. So now I'm going to make this epic shift into nourishment. Nourishment is going to be my commitment. That's the material to which I will construct a life from, no longer harm. And when I did this personally in my life and I took a step back, I took a deep breath, a couple deep breaths, and I was like, wow, my whole life, I've been resourcing the materials of harm, a victim, deprivation, lack, craving, escape, exploitation. That was my focus. That was my loyalty. As far as nourishment, only when it was convenient, right? So we just have to take this big epic shift into nourishment. First, determine what nourishes me. What is it that nourishes me? And then commit to it. I'm only going to reference harm and deprivation so I can understand and enforce boundaries.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. And Camilla and Sascha, what would you love to share as we unfortunately have to part ways? Well, we don't have to. I could talk to you for 9 hours, but I'll let you get back to your life.
Day and night. Yeah, I think, well, I experienced that for me now. My personal challenge is this year, 2020, was a bumpy road, I guess, for all of us. And I experienced how far it pushed me forward. But also it created a lot of friction between me and the outside world, and sometimes the stupid people that don't get it. And I think, I told myself on the 21st, that's over now for me. The high road for me means, or this best road that I can traverse, is that no one gets left behind. I love that. And it's hard sometimes because these people who I'm supposed to not leave behind, they want to push me out of the window or kick me out of the window. Yeah. But I think that's the road of grace now, to radiate out that everyone is in this human family, and we're in this together with everything that happens on the planet. And it's a beautiful ride, but we need a lot of courage, I think, to do that.
Yeah, we do. We need to not be invested if we're liked or not, and understand what true love actually is. And that's, what you all do in your work, and that hero's journey that you speak to, Sascha. It is about embodying the hero. And the hero sometimes, yeah, as you said, wants to be thrown out the window. So that's cool too. That's all right.
We can fly, maybe.
we got capes. We're good with whatever happens. Yeah. And it needs to be said, we are no better. We are no better than anyone else. We may have a different perception on some of the events that are happening in 2020, but that does not make us better. We may have I know, I'll speak for myself, I have a deep need in my heart center for people not to be taken off to slaughter. And, you know, so whatever I can do to steer the ship in another direction, then, you know, I'm going to do it. So whether I'm right or wrong, but all I can do is have that deep trust in myself and, you know, the purified heart that I've worked on for so many years and am continuing to work on, and to allow that force, that loving force, to lead me. And Camilla, in your goddess wisdom, what would you like to share with us?
There have been so many great insights also in this conversation. I'm so grateful that we managed to get all together,
Yes.
find the time here. And I just love the words of Keone and also from Sascha. So I just feel as well that we need to live out, to embrace everyone, so no one is left behind, and also to all the animals and all the beings that we have here on Earth. It's close to my heart that we also don't leave them behind. I think they are much wiser than us if we leave them in nature. They know how to do it. But all those who are not in nature, I hope that also for them, they will be taking with us in this shift. And I just feel that let's not leave anyone behind. And if we come into a conflict with someone, especially if it's a loved one around us, kind of coming into this discussion wave on who's right or wrong, just hold on for a moment and feel the love that you have for that person and all the connections that you have with that person, and relay on that one and come on a base on that one, and just leave the discussions off, just let them go.
Beautiful. Thank you for speaking for the animals and to the animals. That touches my heart. The elders say here that they're okay if the humans have to go, including them, but not, you know, they feel sad for the animals because they played by nature's laws and they have done nothing wrong. The humans have exercised their free will in a way that's been very destructive. But, you know, they also hold hope that this higher road that has opened for us all will pave the way. And yes, the Ohana, the family, the one love, the one family, the animals, we all go together into a new frequency, a new realm, one of absolute unconditional love and reverence for each other, and just celebrating who we are and our uniqueness, and remembering that we came to feel that pulse of creation within us, to laugh and to dance and to sing and to make love and to just frolic upon the earth. You know, why not? Why wouldn't we choose that? So I'm taking that timeline. If anyone wants to come, get on board.
Yeah, we're in.
Yes.
You're in.
And, you know, that's what my kupuna would say. They would say, no matter what, no matter the trials and tribulations, no matter the situations, circumstances, interactions, and environments, boy, most of all, most important, remember to enjoy.
Thank you. Oh, it's celebration time, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Well, beautiful souls, thank you so much. Mahalo, Keone. And tell me some German, guys. Tell me what I need to say in German to say thank you.
Oh, well, what would you usually, well, the usual saying would be Auf Wiedersehen, which means just
goodbye and
see you again.
Vielen Dank. Many thanks. But I think Hawaiian sounds much.
It sounds closer to
the
heart.
Closer
to
the heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's definitely a vibration in those beautiful Hawaiian words. It speaks to our souls. It's something ancient within us. So yeah, it's been been absolutely such a pleasure to be here with you all, and hopefully we'll reconvene, come back together another time. So much love.
Yes,
Aloha.
you as well.
Love
Thank
to you.
you.
Aloha.
Bye.